Amy, let me tell you about a magical place that is so exactly designed to be enclosed space, year-round fun for the whole family that I bet you already know what I'm going to say before I even say the name. Let's say it together on 3. 1, 2, 3. Great Wolf Lodge. You got it, Amy.
My kids loved Great Wolf Lodge when we went. You probably already know that it has a huge indoor water park with a wave pool, lazy river, a bunch of massive water slides. But then your pack can hit the other attractions because wait, there's more.
Great Wolf Lodge has adventure-packed attractions like Magi Quest, a live-action game kids can play throughout the lodge, plus the Northern Lights Arcade. Spent some quality time there, so your kid who loves the lazy river and your kid who loves fantasy games will both have a great time.
Great Wolf Lodge also offers great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. Unpack the car once and you're settled in to have fun. And with 22 lodges across the country, you're always a short drive away from adventure.
We've both had such great times at Great Wolf Lodge, so bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Learn more at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack.
Hey everybody, welcome to Fresh Take from What Fresh Hell, laughing in the face of motherhood. This is Amy. Today, I'm talking to Chelsey Goodan. Chelsey has been an academic tutor and mentor for 16 years with a particular emphasis on the empowerment of teenage girls. She speaks regularly to audiences about gender justice and serves as the mentorship director of Democracy, working to support girls from underserved communities into leadership positions. The book that we are about to discuss today is the USA Today bestseller, Underestimated: The Wisdom and Power of Teenage Girls, which has been recommended by Oprah Daily and Oprah's book club, which said, and I quote, "If you have a teenage girl in your life, you need to read this." Amazon's editorial director chose Underestimated as one of her top 5 editor picks for best nonfiction for the month of March. Chelsey Goodan's passion to explore humanity's potential for authenticity, liberation, and empowerment permeates all of her work, and I am so excited to talk to her today. Welcome, Chelsey.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
So your book starts with the stereotypes that teenage girls suffer under the weight of often before they become teenage girls. For me, as soon as I became pregnant with a girl after 2 boys, I copped to it. I had preconceived notions. This is going to be hard. Girls are complicated. Other girls are complicated. This is going to be hard. Anybody who's had a 2-year-old girl has had somebody walk up to them and be like, just you wait until she's a teenager, all that stuff.
You're in for it.
Yeah. And the shotgun jokes that dads are supposed to make and the mean girls that everybody dreads. There's so much negative, stereotypical stuff around teenage girls.
Fear. So much fear.
It's fear. Okay. So that's where it's coming from. Fear on whose part? On our part?
Yeah, I feel like just in society, too, they've created this fear around it that they are horrible to deal with and that they're crazy and mean and dramatic and that you're going to fight with them all the time or they're going to date some horrible boy that you're going to hate. It's everyone kind of really dials into those stereotypes and propagates them, spreads them and it tries to make light of it. But what it does is just creates, like you said, so much negativity. And then teenage girls themselves hear it and absorb it. And it doesn't feel good. It doesn't make them feel good about themselves. And I feel like it's a self-perpetuating cycle, as fear always is. The more you put it out there, the more it spreads, rather than I am such an advocate with this book of trying to be their microphone and portal for their voices of what they want to say to the world, which is really wise. And we're underestimating them is basically what's happening.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you about, because the title obviously Underestimated, and your thesis is that we are underestimating teenage girls and it's our loss and it's at their peril. But how does that sort of fear and negativity flip into us also underestimating them?
Well, it quiets their voice. So we put our preconceived notions and fear, and then they just shut down. We always talk about actually teenage girls closing off, shutting down, being like, whatever, and just not talking to you because fear silences them and negativity silences them, and that they don't feel valued. They don't feel respected. They don't feel heard and seen. They feel judged, if I were to say anything, is that teenage girls feel so judged. And that makes them be like, okay, whatever, I'm not going to even talk then.
So you wrote this book to hand the microphone back over to them, so to speak.
Exactly. And then
based on your many years of working with teenage girls.
Exactly. Because in my one-on-one time, the things they were saying, I was like, oh my gosh, the world needs to hear this. You're so smart. You have such good perspective on not only her own problems, but the world's problems too.
So what do teenage girls want us to understand that we've been misunderstanding? I think the whole book's about that, but let's start with some of the things that you're hearing from them.
Right. Well, and each chapter is a different issue they face, but we all face, honestly, whether it's people pleasing, perfection, feelings, sexuality, shame, self-doubt, right? Like these are things we all struggle with. And I believe that those wounds happen in our teenage years. A lot of our insecurities really set up shop and get going in our teenage years, and we carry them into womanhood and adulthood. And I'm very excited about what if we started addressing these earlier, we could change the trajectory for all women. I have a lot of adult women reading the book who don't even have daughters, who are realizing how much they're healing their own inner teenage girl in this process too.
Yeah, that sounds really familiar. There's an author named Judith Warner, and she wrote a book called And Then They Stopped Talking to Me. I'll put the link in the show notes to that interview because it was a couple of years ago now. But that was the sort of thesis of the whole book, that we come to our children's, mostly daughters, preteen and teen years with all of this trepidation and all of this baggage that is really us not having fully unpacked what happened to us in middle school.
Exactly. Yeah, you just said it so well, because that's been my experience of our triggers, right? We all have our own triggers that are due to our own stories. And we tend to project that onto the girl. And she's a little like, that's not my story. And then she's just like, whatever, shut down, close off. There's just shuts off communication so fast.
Well, anybody who has a teenage girl would probably agree that there are times when they seem very interested in talking to you and downloading all sorts of things about their day. And other times when you're just getting nothing, good, fine. Why are you asking me? You get nothing. So as a parent of a teenage girl, how do you get, if a teenage girl wants to be more understood by her parent, how does that parent get the teenage girl talking to her?
Yeah, this is such a fantastic question. I'm totally here for it, because I've definitely had an incredible amount of girls really open up to me and invite me into this rare space of trust. And so I'm trying to communicate those skills, those tangible, practical tools out to the world. And first of all, it's also okay if a teenage girl doesn't share everything with you. It's a total normal developmental stage for them to have their own things going on. That said, I have learned that just listening and not judging is the first step, where you're just like, hey, I'm just going to listen to you, and actually say it out loud. Hey, I'm just going to listen. Do you want me to just listen while you talk? And I'm not going to come in with advice or try to fix it or anything. I'm not going to try to slap positivity on it. And then she feels safer. And then when that kind of environment starts happening, I always say too, if you do follow up with, you always follow up with a question. You phrase as a question, so that it invites just a genuine curiosity, rather than what she often feels is like a secret agenda of you trying to teach her something, or, what you want her to do, control her in some way. And she can feel that. Teenage girls are so smart, and they know the truth of things very well. And so the more you can frame, listen, don't judge, then phrase as a follow-up question, just like, okay, well, what do you think more about that? Or what do you think the solution is? I'm always about putting the solution in the girls' hands, because they come up with way better solutions usually than I'm thinking. And it empowers her then too, to also check in with herself and be like, wait, what do I think the solution here is? And she can start figuring out for herself what are healthy choices, and then affirm afterwards too. Don't, again, jump in with your idea. Be like, wow, that was really smart. I hadn't thought of it that way. That was a cool angle. I hadn't approached it from that direction before. Just really specific affirming, where she's like, oh, okay, I came up with a smart idea. My parent trusts me. My parent respects my voice in these conversations. And the more that dynamic is built out, the more I find she steps into her power and voice.
I felt very called out in this part of the book in a good way. The whole thing about having a discussion with your teenager. They have their detector for a secret agenda on the part of the parent is very highly tuned.
Yes.
But yeah, often I have a secret, let's have an open-ended conversation about what you're going to spend your time doing this summer. And of course, in my head, I'm like, it's A, B, and C. We're going to have a conversation, quote unquote, that gets us to you agreeing to do these 3 things with your time this summer.
Right. Well, Good. And, there's a radical honesty chapter, and I say use that as a tool too, because I'm always like, whoa, wait, I might have a secret agenda here. Like, I'll just call it out and say it and be like, I'm sorry, hold on, I'm working to let go of this. But like, this is actually what I want you to do. But I'm really trying hard to approach you right now with an open mind and listen to what you have to say about this. Just actually say the truth. And a girl respects that. She's always like, oh, okay, well, they're being real with me, so I'll be real with them. And I find that's very helpful. And then, at the end of the day, what is the real goal is to connect and feel connected and with the girl. And she's going to like you as much as she likes herself through your eyes. And so the more she can feel like seen in her specificity and also like, okay, they respect me, they trust me, the more she's going to listen to you also, because she feels a part of the conversation. She feels respected. So if she likes that you are respecting her voice, she's going to respect your voice in turn.
Can you say that again? That she's going to like herself as much as what?
She's going to like you based off of how she sees herself through your eyes. And if she sees through your eyes that you respect her, that you think she's smart, that she has something to say that's important, then she's going to feel that and be like, and really rise to the occasion. I actually find she rises to the occasion with smarter ideas. And then she's going to listen to you more too, because she really feels that respect, that mutual respect. So then maybe when you do contribute your idea of what she should do that summer, if you've given a lot of space for her voice first, she's going to listen better.
Makes so much sense. Okay, I'm talking to Chelsey Goodan. She is the author of the USA Today bestseller, Underestimated: The Wisdom and Power of Teenage Girls, and we'll be right back. Hellions, it's time for some spring cleaning, and I don't just mean the coat closets. Doing your financial spring cleaning can actually be super easy when you let Monarch do your financial spring cleaning for you. One dashboard that gets your entire financial life organized. No more clutter, no more mess, no more logins scattered everywhere, just accounts, investments, property, and more, all in one place. Get your first year of Monarch for half off, just $50 with promo code FRESH. Monarch allows you to look not only at what you've already spent, but also to plan for the future. With Monarch, you can set savings goals, plan for big purchases, and notice spending trends before they become a problem. I can generate cash flow reports that show me what we spent this quarter, this month, what we're probably going to spend next month, and feel prepared, organized, and knowing how to plan for the future. No more surprises and a lot more clarity. Try Monarch. Use code FRESH at monarch.com to get your first year half off at just $50. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code FRESH.
Amy, when I'm having a good hair day, it usually makes my whole day better. And that's why on every day, I'm taking Nutrafol.
Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand. And it's the #1 hair growth supplement brand personally used by dermatologists. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements are peer-reviewed, NSF certified for sport, and clinically tested.
Nutrafol offers multiple formulas for men and women, tailored to different life stages and lifestyle factors, so you get support that's actually right for you. Adding Nutrafol to your daily routine is easy. Order online, no prescription needed, with automated deliveries and free shipping to keep you on track.
Let your hair be one less thing to worry about. See visibly thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol.
For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com and enter promo code LAUGHING.
That's Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code LAUGHING. My favorite skincare products actually feel more like self-care, like they're so nice to put on and they smell so good that I'm actually happy when I get to that part of my day. And I swear that is how I feel about Osea's anti-aging body balm.
Amy, you are usually the lotions and potions queen on this podcast, but I have to say, hard agree.
Osea's anti-aging body balm is a liquid silk body balm that combines the lasting hydration of a lotion with the firming power of a serum, leaving skin smoother and firmer.
This body balm is clinically tested and designed to deliver visible results you can see and feel.
So we've gotten to use this product for a couple of months now, and I swear I have really noticed firmer and smoother skin, like on the back of my hands. It's like getting a mini spa treatment from head to toe.
Get a spring-worthy glow with clean, clinically tested skincare from Osea. And right now, we have a special discount just for our listeners.
Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code FRESH at OseaMalibu.com.
That's 10% off your first order with code FRESH at OSEAMalibu.com.
Let's talk about Mean Girls, which is, certainly like the elephant in the room when we sort of envision teenage girls, that we all think our daughter is going to be victim to this, these mean girls that roam the streets in packs, apparently, right? They'll never be one themselves, not our daughters, never, never, never. But it's like, it's this thing that's out there. But you argue that this is maybe not so much of a thing as we are led to believe.
Yeah, I have thankfully seen a generational shift with Gen Z. Okay, so our older generations, there was indeed limited space at the table for women, right? Like they were only hiring one woman at that boardroom table, and we were taught at a young age to compete, whether it was for a career or for a man. And there was just a completely different energy around it. Whereas with Gen Z, there is a media narrative of girls supporting girls, women supporting women, right? Like Taylor Swift has been like that. There's been a good amount of celebrities that have supported this narrative. And you'll see it with girls. They love to gas each other up and comments of like, you're amazing, da, da, da. They put tons of exclamation points in the culture of girls supporting girls. And we're all still messy human beings that are all dealing with stuff, right? But this is where I've seen another cool difference is when there is a mean girl situation, because things happen, Gen Z is so into mental health and psychology in a way that I've never seen before from a generation. They love learning about it and reading about it, that I can take a whole new approach with them where I say, well, what do you think about that girl who's being the mean girl? So this idea of mean girls, I always laugh about it because it's not like girls came out of the womb mean. It's as if we've like decided that's just the way it's gonna be, right?
Right. Unavoidable. Right.
Yeah. And no, it's a society that's quite harshly judging them, not making them feel emotionally safe. Like they put up walls in reaction to everything else. So I want to be fair to the girls themselves right now. And again, I'm always advocating for them where I'm like, yeah, no, it's not cool that everyone's just throwing you into this box. But how do we deal with those moments of, girls to girls, things not going well? And I will say there has been a beautiful generational shift with Gen Z, where there is a lot more of an attitude of girls supporting girls, women supporting women. We've seen it on a media narrative with Taylor Swift putting that out there, and a lot of, big celebrities put that out there. And I can feel the difference because I was from an older generation that was that feeling of there being limited space at the table for a woman, right? That one job at the boardroom for that one woman, and we'd all have to compete for the job or all compete for the man's attention. That's what we were taught to do. Whereas girls these days are like, wait, what? No, like she's awesome. And there's a lot more, what they call gassing each other up. And, even comments on social media. Everyone's always worried about the bullying on social media, but I see a lot more of social media comments just being like, you're amazing, like, with tons of exclamation points. But when there is a mean girl situation, because we still are messy humans, another cool thing that I've seen with Gen Z is that they're very into mental health and psychology. And I can take an approach of activating their compassion. So I'll often say, what do you think that girl's home life is like, that the girl who's being a mean girl? And they'll often be like, oh, I don't know, or dad's never around, or mom criticizes her all the time. They often know like the girl's not in the best situation. And I was like, oh, well, what do you think about that? I mean, she might be functioning out of her own pain. She might not be in a good place, and it's not about you. And she's trying to make herself feel better by making someone else feel worse, and it sucks. And the girl's usually like, wow, yeah, that does suck for her. And they get that separation of it's not about me, that it's that idea that hurt people, and that there's a cycle of pain that continues. And when you break it down and from a psychology standpoint, the girls love learning that. They love knowing about it and understanding mental health. And it's been really cool to see how quickly a girl can get into a compassionate place. And that's where, again, I admire girls so much, and we're underestimating them.
Let's talk about the likability. Another thing that I think is changing for today's teenage girls, that you need to be liked and you need to conform versus the ability to be authentic and be who you really are. I feel like that wasn't even available to me until I was well into my 20s.
Well, I lean in hard with the book with this, right? Because I have the perfection chapter, the people-pleasing chapter, and then I take us on a journey toward what is authenticity in the identity chapter. And yes, this is the space that matters, because I do think there's still a ton of pressure on girls to be perfect and likable. And if anything, that is actually a root cause of a lot of their anxiety that we're seeing in girls' lives today. And that people pleasing, where you're putting everyone's needs before your own and kind of just saying, it's fine, and just not really sharing your truth of that you might be struggling with something. And because they just want to be likable and come off as perfect. And the more I get in there with conversations where I'm like, hey, it's not fine. Like, that sounds awful. Do you want to just talk about it? Just make room for their feelings and space for it, for them to have displeasing feelings like frustration and disappointment and anger. There's not a lot of room for girls to express that and women to express that, right? So I try to make a lot of room for that so they can have space. And then you're right. Then what happens is they start connecting with their authentic self. That's like, what are my needs? What do I like? Do I like playing this sport, or would I rather do something else? And I love reconnecting that for them, or not even reconnecting, connecting for the first time, where there's a lot of space to explore all parts of their identity.
You were talking about girls being angry and having space for anger. I mean, sometimes I'm thinking of women, I guess, when I say this, is often your anger will be expressed with tears, or tears are part of it. And then that becomes a further sign of your weakness, or at the very least, something that needs to be stopped and put back in its box as quickly as possible.
Exactly. Like adult women, right? We're taught how to really repress and stuff and contain any big feelings, because God, the world is going to judge us for them as weak, like you just said, or all these different labels. So that's another part of this book is, teenage girls are well known for their big feelings, and they're judged for them. And I actually think all human beings have big feelings. We just get really good at stuffing them, and we deal with them in a midlife crisis in our 40s with a therapist, right? Instead, I find that when I just hold space for those big feelings that girls have it, and I just reflect back like, yeah, that sounds awful. That does sound frustrating. That sucks. They're like, oh, thank you. And they relax, and they're like, God, no one understood me, and that's all you need usually, is just to actually feel the feeling.
You have I forget who it was, a neuroscientist in your book that said that a feeling is felt for about 90 seconds, and that you just...
Yeah, they found that truly just processing it takes about 90 seconds. If you really commit to actually feeling, it's really scary to feel big feelings, especially things like anger. But the more you can name it, like I have a feelings wheel in the book, and the more, oftentimes our vocabulary is like, I'm sad, I'm angry, and we can't find the word. And I found the feelings wheel is so helpful to get more clear. When I landed on disappointment, and realizing how intense and powerful that emotion is, being like, oh my gosh, I'm disappointed right now. And just letting myself feel it for that full 90 seconds. Maybe there's tears. Then it passes through you and releases and processes, rather than, again, containing in your soul, and oftentimes in ways of resentment and harmful ways.
And when it's your teenage daughter having that difficult emotion, whatever it is, to let her have it for 90 seconds without trying to reassure or fix, or right? Or
exactly. Not fix, not advise, not make it positive. And tell her what's going on too. I mean, she's into the psychology of it, right? Like I'll be like, hey, actually this just, I've learned just letting herself feel it for 9, and I'll put it in the I terms, right? It's not like I'm telling her what she should do. There's plenty of shoulds coming at her. I'll be like, hey, yeah, when I feel hard feelings like this, I've learned it just takes about 90 seconds to pass through it. I name it. And then you just model it rather than telling her what she should be doing.
So smart. I'm talking to Chelsey Goodan, the author of Underestimated, and we'll be right back.
K-pop Demon Hunters Haja Boys breakfast meal and Huntrix meal have just dropped at McDonald's. They're calling this a battle for the fans. What do you say to that, Rumi?
It's not a battle. So glad the Saja Boys could take breakfast and give our meal the rest of the day.
It is an honor to share.
No, it's our honor.
It is our larger honor.
No, really. Stop.
You can really feel the respect in this battle. Pick a meal to pick a side.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating McDonald's while supplies last.
Pepsi Prebiotic Cola in original and cherry vanilla. That Pepsi taste you love, with no artificial sweeteners and 3 grams of prebiotic fiber. Pepsi Prebiotic Cola. Unbelievably Pepsi.
So let's talk about perfectionism a little more, because I think that often we're like, the answer to that is that girls should just stop being so perfectionist all the time, right? And then their lives will be better. And yet the noise is there and it's unavoidable. And we as parents often contribute to it, even with the best of intentions, thinking that we're not. We still do. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, and I would say it's really sneaky, super sneaky, because in our brains, we think good grades will help her have success in the world. And the girls already put so much pressure on themselves to get good grades. Like any other external pressures are just adding it. I find girls have a deep need. They've learned, if I achieve, then I'll be someone in this world. And I actually give way more space to the, who cares what grade you get, that world, which I know is a parenting style. Some choose, some don't. But the amount of girls that I have said, what if you do get a C on that paper? Like, you have nothing to prove to me. I already know how smart and amazing you are. That grade means nothing to me and does not tell me what your worth and value is as a human being. When I say that to girls and really say it, right? They get emotional. They think that I have said something radical to them, that I've broke some societal rules. They're usually so grateful and like, okay. And I think specifically the line of like, you have nothing to prove to me, which is actually ends up being the last line of the book. And that's what they feel like. They have to prove something in order to have worth and value. And that proof could be in their grades. It could be in their looks. It could be in their sports skills, some ability they might have. And they feel like they won't have worth unless they achieve in one of those ways. Yeah. And back to kind of the perfection and people pleasing. So there's a story in the book, Marley, who's 15 years old, incredible volleyball player, right? Where has excellence. She made the varsity team as a freshman and everyone's so proud of her and affirming her. And I noticed though that she was so stressed out and getting migraines and stomach aches and, volleyball schedule at that level is so intense. And one day I asked her, I was like, would you like playing volleyball? And no one had asked her. She looked at me kind of like,
is that supposed to factor in at all if I'm enjoying myself?
Yeah. And she's like, well, I like that I'm good at it. So we're kind of back to that perfection, people pleasing, where it's so sneaky, right? We think we're affirming this girl who's so amazing at something. And she's like, well, I like that I'm good at it. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're good at it, but do you like it? And she said too, she's like, well, her mom was a big volleyball star. She's like, well, I can bond with my mom about it. And I'm like, great. Like, but are you playing it to make everyone else happy? And she was like, oh no, and then I was like, well, what light you up? What makes you so happy to just do and spend in your free time? And she said that she would do fashion sketches on the bus rides to games. And I was like, amazing. Are you interested in fashion? Would you want to take, this sewing class on the weekends? And she immediately lit up and was like, I would love that. Da, da, da. I was like, great. We, brought her mom into the conversation. She ended up quitting volleyball, putting all her time there. And she loved it. Her migraines went away. Her stomach aches went away. It was so interesting how just being good at something doesn't mean you should be doing it. And I do think we're also sneakily teaching girls that you can be good at one thing, like that as soon as you are good at something, it really attaches to your identity. And we stop forgetting to ask those questions. And, and fashion's a really good example because that's one where we dismiss and minimize teenage girls as like their superficial interest in fashion. And that is not what I've seen. I've seen it. They really see it as a really important expression of their identity and the exploration of their identity. And there are plenty of jobs in the fashion industry. I think it's so funny how parents think this is some weird pursuit. And I know way more girls that have incredible jobs in the fashion industry than are like a professional volleyball player, right? But we get really focused on what's good for college. And again, this kind of box that everyone's trying to fit their kid in the hopes that they'll be okay. And I get that good intention. But that normal box, I think, is more often harmful in ways we don't realize. Whereas finding out what makes your kid weird and specific is where I think a really cool identity develops.
The idea of giving your girls choice is all through the book, right? Choices on little things and big things. Something that really stuck with me was saying something like, do you want me to send you a text about that later to remind you instead of just doing it, right? Just today I set, the smart speaker in our house to go off later so that my daughter would remember to do something. And I was like, I didn't even ask her if she wanted that. And then of course she was like, I don't need that. And so I'm like, okay, I canceled it. Do you need help remembering? I don't need help remembering it. I'm like, okay. Like, I read this book, like, stop.
Great. Oh, this is so good. I love these little moments. Like, this is so good. And then you can also say, you can say to her, okay, great. I trust you to remember it. Because then she'll hear that and be like, oh, she trusts, but say it like out loud, right? And then she's like, oh, well, she trusts me to do it. So I really got to deliver this, right? And there's all sorts of little choices like, do you want me to do that? And the more she has a voice in it, the more it works too, the more it lands, the more it's effective. And then that's really
including when there's
right?
a mistake, because you make a point in the book, people learn from their mistakes, blah, blah, blah. We all know that to be true. And it really is true. But you'll learn more when it was your choice. I circled that right. Got it.
Right. So we give them the choice and we hope they make a good one. Right. And when they do, they're very empowered by it and find their own voice. But when they make not the best choice and they make a mistake, that's valuable too, because if it had been your choice that you forced her to do, she would have just been like, whatever, you made me do it and just have blame. But when she owned it, and you're like, okay, great, I'm going to trust you make this choice. And then it doesn't go well. She's like, okay, wow. And really learns the lesson and the mistake from it.
This book ends with the one thing that our teenage daughters most want to hear from us. What is that?
It's an apology, which I did not necessarily see coming. I got to say that just developed out of me asking lots of questions and they kept bringing it up. And I would say this is not just like a flurry of sorries. This is an amends that is way more heartfelt and really like, hey, did I'm could be something heavy. Like, I feel like I didn't handle the divorce well, and I just want to say sorry and ask you if you need any type of amends from me. You can even ask, like, do you need amends around that? And the girls, when they brought this up, you can read all their quotes of just saying, I'll never get an apology from my parents. It's all I've ever wanted. I don't think they'll ever be ready for it. Like, they are in a hopelessness about it, actually, which really surprised me. Whereas, the one girl who was like, we all went to therapy and we all learned how to apologize. And it's so amazing. Now she knows how to apologize too. It models behavior for her to own and take responsibility for her mistake, her things too. But it could also be just a small day to day, right? Like, oh my goodness, I'm sorry, I didn't listen to you just now. Or, hey, I'm sorry, I should have asked you if you wanted that reminder. It can be little too.
Right.
It doesn't have to be some big heavy thing, but we're all imperfect human beings and we're going to make mistakes. And the more we can heal that for a girl, she feels emotionally safe. And then she will open up more. She'll model that good practice in her own life as well. So I was pretty amazed by the feedback they gave on amends in particular.
Making amends transforms relationships, you say. And I thought, well, I guess that's really true. It's a really important takeaway and one I'm certainly going to think about.
And it liberates you too from old stories. So often we set up a pattern with a girl that has contentious, right? A lot of parents are feeling hopeless. Like, how do I get a restart? That's another cool thing. You can actually say, hey, I read this book. I would love to just have a restart. I've learned some new tools. I'm going to start approaching you differently. I might not trust it right away because it's going to feel really different, but I'm going to try to do things differently and approach you differently. It may look like more of this or that. And I just would love that restart and then ask for it. And then you say it because I'm sorry. I feel like maybe I've messed up a few things, and the girl's going to respect that. I mean, I've seen girls get emotional to something like that when it's really intentional.
I've been talking to Chelsey Goodan. She is the author of the amazing new book, Underestimated: The Wisdom and Power of Teenage Girls. Chelsey, tell us about democracy and all of your other work.
Right. So I have been volunteering my time also for girls from underserved communities to go into leadership positions. I also am on the board of A Call to Men, which is all about ending gender-based violence by bringing in men and boys into the conversation. And what does healthy masculinity look like? And how do we help boys feel their emotions too? I mean, I care about the boys too, but it's a different conversation. And I also think that it's very tied to women being able to have a safe voice in the world, right? If women could have ended gender-based violence by now, we would have done it. And we need to incorporate men into this conversation. And I got to say, it's been lovely hearing feedback from dads reading the book. Like, they love it because it's not a bang you over the head type of parenting book. There's a playfulness to it and a levity that I think is creating different types of conversations than you normally would have with your kid.
I will link to both of those nonprofits and Underestimated, of course, in the show notes of this episode. But Chelsey, tell our listeners who might be driving or have their hands busy right now where they can find you on the internet.
Yeah, so I think Instagram's the best, just at Chelsey Goodan. I mean, chelseygoodan.com. I also do speaking engagements, right? So I've been really speaking in a big way to lots of different audiences, whether it's to teenagers for empowerment or to parents at schools. There's all sorts of different environments. But I believe that the tools I learned from teenage girls can be used with everyone, these communication tools. We could all listen to each other better. We could all have more genuine curiosity without judgment. And that's what a lot of the book is about, is what I learned from these girls.
Chelsey Goodan is the author of Underestimated: The Wisdom and Power of Teenage Girls. Chelsey, thank you so much for talking to me today.
Oh, I loved it. Thank you.
You can't reason with the sun. Trust us, we've tried. This summer, it's time to put that angry ball of fire on mute. Columbia's Omni-Shade technology is engineered to protect you from the sun's harsh rays that can burn and damage your skin. The sun is relentless, but so is our gear. Level up your summer at Columbia.com to spend more time outside and less time slathering on aloe lotion. You're welcome. Columbia, engineered for whatever.